The Galactic Warrior Academy was louder than usual that morning. Thousands of alien cadets moved across the training grounds, some with heavy metal armor, some with glowing scales, some with sharp claws that cut the air as they walked. This place was known across the galaxy as the hardest military school ever built. Only the strongest species were allowed to study here. But today something unusual happened. A small transport shuttle landed in the middle of the courtyard. Its door opened slowly, letting out a thin line of white smoke. The cadets turned to look, expecting a massive warrior from a high-gravity world, or some creature with 4 arms and laser eyes. Instead, a small, fragile-looking human girl stepped out. Her name was Mira Hale. She wore simple training clothes and carried only one small bag. Her black hair was tied back tightly and her eyes were calm. Too calm. She walked as if she didn't hear the loud alien voices around her. But she heard everything. Every whisper. Every laugh. A tall, stone-skinned alien cadet pointed at her and burst into laughter. "Is that the new warrior, that tiny thing?" Another cadet, a lizard-like Calthrin, hissed with amusement. "She looks like she would break after one punch." A group of winged students hovered above her, flapping their strong metallic wings. "Maybe Earth sent her by mistake," one joked. "Maybe she's just here to watch," another added. Mira didn't react. She kept walking, her steps steady and light. She didn't glare at them. She didn't speak. She simply moved forward as if she had walked through this place 10 times before. But inside she was taking notes, observing their posture, their speed, their arrogance. At the far end of the courtyard, an instructor stood waiting. He was a massive creature with 4 glowing eyes and a body like armored steel. Commander Verax, one of the most feared teachers in the academy. His eyes scanned the girl from head to toe. "You are the human applicant?" he said slowly as if he couldn't believe it. Mira nodded once. "Yes, sir." Her voice was quiet but not weak, controlled, steady. Verax frowned. Earth did not send any message about sending a small recruit." He checked his tablet again, confused. "But your name is here. Mira Hale, age 17, species human, rank civilian." Behind him, several senior cadets snickered. "A civilian? She will not last 10 minutes. Humans are soft. They bruise if you touch them." Verax ignored them. He took one step closer to Mira. "This academy is not a place for the weak," he warned. "We train soldiers who fight real wars. Students often leave with injuries, or worse. Are you sure you belong here?" Mira looked up at him, her eyes calm like quiet water. "Yes, sir, I am sure." Verax held her gaze for a long moment. Something about her expression bothered him. She looked too calm, too certain. He couldn't read her emotions. It was almost unnatural. He handed her a small training chip. "This is your ID. Scan it at the entrance. Your first combat test begins in 2 hours." A loud wave of laughter spread around her. "Combat test? She will die. Someone protect the human baby. I bet she cannot even lift a training stick." But Mira didn't look back at any of them. She walked into the academy building with steady steps, moving past towering alien statues and glowing banners that celebrated the strongest warriors in the galaxy. As she entered the main hall, more aliens stared at her with disbelief. A group of armored Uroks stopped her path. Their leader, a muscular creature with horns like blades, leaned down until his face was inches from hers. "You are in the wrong place, human," he growled. "This academy is for real fighters." Mira tilted her head slightly. "If you say so," she replied softly. The Uroks blinked, confused. They expected fear. They expected her to run away. But she simply walked around them with quiet confidence. Every alien watching her felt the same strange thing, something they could not understand. She did not fear them, not even a little. As the announcement bell rang across the hall, Mira looked up at the glowing screen. "First combat test. All new cadets report to the training dome." While the aliens continued laughing and whispering, Mira tightened the straps on her gloves, her expression calm and unreadable. She had come here for one reason. And soon, the entire academy would know it. The hallway leading to the training sector was long, cold, and metallic. Glowing blue lines ran along the walls like veins, pulsing softly as Mira walked. She moved quietly, but her eyes were sharp, studying every corner, every camera, every alien symbol. Behind her, dozens of new cadets stomped loudly. their heavy boots shaking the floor. Some were laughing, some were stretching their thick arms, some were sharpening claws that glowed in the dim light. But all of them had one shared thought. The human will be the first to fall. At the end of the hallway stood a large gate. Above it, in bright red letters, were the words, "Strict Zone, No Mercy Training." As the cadets gathered, Instructor Varric stepped onto a high platform. His 4 glowing eyes scanned the crowd until they landed on Mira. His expression tightened. He spoke, and his deep voice echoed across the chamber. "Welcome to the Galactic Warrior Academy. Before your first combat test begins, you must understand the rules." The gate behind him split open with a deep metallic roar, revealing the training dome. It looked like a giant arena filled with moving platforms, live drones, and shifting terrain. Flames burst randomly from the ground. Lightning traps crackled above. Walls moved like puzzles, trying to crush anything inside. A few new cadets swallowed nervously. Mira simply watched. Varric lifted a steel staff and slammed it onto the floor. Boom! The entire dome shook. "Rule 1, he said firmly. "Protect yourself, no one else will." He looked directly at Mira when he said that. Alien cadets nodded confidently. They trusted their natural armor and strength. Mira had no armor. Her skin looked soft compared to everyone else's claws and plates. Some aliens whispered, "She will fail Rule 1 in the first minute." "She has no chance," Varric continued. "Rule 2. He lifted his staff again as a group of combat drones descended from the ceiling, their blue lights turning red. "This academy does not slow down for the weak. If you fall, you get up. If you break, you heal. If you cry, no one listens." A roar of approval came from the cadets. Mira's face stayed calm, but her eyes narrowed slightly. She understood the message. This place wanted to crush her, but she did not come here to survive. She came here to prove something. Varric raised 2 of his arms and the ground shifted violently. Metal panels slid open, revealing spiked pits and rotating blade rings. "Rule 3, he said. "The combat test is real, the danger is real. If you get hit, it will hurt." He wasn't joking. The traps looked deadly. Some alien cadets stepped back, finally realizing this was not a simple school. This was a battlefield. Meanwhile, Mira stepped forward instead of backward. That caught Varric's attention. She was the smallest cadet here, yet she stood closest to the danger. Why? Before he could think further, a loud mechanical click echoed across the dome. A massive holographic timer appeared. "Alright, Rhino, combat test begins in 10 minutes. The cadets reacted instantly. Some began stretching their giant arms. Others cracked their claws or activated shield implants. The winged species practiced quick takeoffs. The reptilian species tested their tail weapons. But Mira did none of that. She walked toward a small corner where a screen listed all weapon options: laser blades, shock rifles, energy batons, gravity hammers. Other cadets grabbed weapons enthusiastically. "She is going to pick something light," a tall alien snorted. "Maybe a stick," another laughed. But Mira did not pick anything. She simply examined them, then stepped away. That confused Varric. "No weapon?" he asked, raising 2 eyebrows. Mira shook her head. "I don't need one, sir." The cadets burst into laughter again, some holding their stomachs, some nearly falling over. "She really is a soft human. She thinks this is a game. She will last 10 seconds. Varric silenced them with a glare. He turned to Mira. "Cadet Hale, this is a combat test. If you enter unarmed, you risk immediate failure." Mira met his eyes calmly. "I understand." That answer, simple, calm, unshaken, made Varric pause. Something about her felt dangerous. Not physically, not visibly, but something invisible. A quiet pressure. He didn't like that he couldn't understand it. The timer beeped again. "Frisinusao test starts soon." Cadets formed lines at the gate. Muscles tightened. Wings spread, claws glowed. Energy shields hummed. Mira stepped into the line too, standing between 2 giants who towered over her like mountains. They smirked, assuming she would be crushed in seconds. But Mira simply inhaled slowly, her heartbeat steady and controlled. The whispering crowd grew silent as they felt the tension rising. Something was coming, something big. Even the walls seemed to vibrate in anticipation. Then the final countdown echoed through the dome.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The gate opened with a thunderous crash. Mira stepped inside the battlefield. and the academy was about to learn a lesson it would never forget. The moment Mira stepped into the combat dome, the air changed. It became heavier, charged like the calm before a storm. The arena was massive, almost the size of a small city. Platforms floated in the air, shifting positions every few seconds. Sharp metal spikes rose and dropped from the floor. Laser turrets rotated slowly, waiting to fire. And high above, floating drones watched every cadet with glowing red eyes. This was not a test. This was a battlefield. Cadets rushed forward with excitement, shouting war cries and activating their weapons. The sound of metal hitting metal thundered through the dome. But Mira didn't rush. She stood still for a moment, taking in the entire arena with quiet, steady eyes. She watched how the platforms moved, timed the laser turrets, and noted the paths of the drones. While others attacked blindly, she was building a map inside her mind. An alien cadet charged past her, laughing. "Move, human, you'll get crushed standing like that." But Mira stayed calm. Ahead of her, the first wave of combat drones descended. They were round machines with spinning blades, laser eyes, and armored shells. New cadets usually panicked and swung wildly at them. Today was no different. A tall, horned warrior roared as he smashed a drone with his hammer. A winged alien dove from above, slicing another drone with sharp talons. Sparks filled the air. But then, a drone turned toward Mira. It scanned her small frame. It calculated her as a weak target. It accelerated straight toward her with spinning blades. Dozens of cadets turned to watch. This was the moment they were waiting for. They wanted to see the human fail. Some even smiled. The drone shot forward. Mira didn't move until the last possible second. Then, she stepped to the side with a single light motion. The drone's blade sliced through the air where she previously stood, completely missing her. The watching cadets blinked. They expected her to scream or run or fall. But instead, she looked at the drone calmly, almost bored. The drone realigned itself and attacked again, faster this time. Mira ducked under it, not with fear, not with panic, with precision. She placed her hand on the drone's underside for half a second. Then she pushed. A simple, small push. The drone spun off balance, crashed into a wall, and exploded into pieces. The entire section of cadets froze. That was luck.
She just dodged!
She didn't even attack. But Verax, watching from the control room, narrowed his eyes. That movement, clean, efficient, perfectly timed, was not luck. It was training. Heavy training. Meanwhile, chaos filled the dome. Drones attacked in swarms. Laser turrets fired beams that scorched the floor. Platforms collapsed and rose like giant steel beasts. Cadets screamed, ducked, swung weapons, and sometimes fell into traps. Mira began moving through the battlefield. Not running, not rushing. Just moving. Smoothly. Quietly. Efficiently. She slid under swinging blades, leaped over electrified tiles, and stepped over collapsing floors with perfect timing. To the other cadets, it looked impossible, like the battlefield moved around her instead of against her. A reptilian warrior snarled as a drone cornered him. Mira appeared beside him and tapped a specific joint on the drone's armor. The machine sparked, malfunctioned, and fell to the ground. The reptilian stared at her, confused. "How did you—" But Mira was already gone. The arena shifted suddenly. Massive steel walls rose from the floor, dividing the dome into smaller sections. Mira found herself trapped with 8 alien cadets, strong ones with thick muscles and heavy armor. One of them grinned at her. "Well, human, luck ends here." They all raised their weapons as the next wave of drones dropped into their zone. The cadets jumped forward, swinging and shooting wildly. Mira simply stepped backward and watched. One alien swung too hard and hit a wall. Another fired blindly and hit a trap tile that burst with electricity. A third lost balance when a platform shifted. Their strength was real. Their power was great, but their movements were messy. Mira moved through them like wind. She corrected her angle so the drone overshot. She timed her step so the drone collided with another. She let the battlefield destroy the machines for her. Every movement was small, soft, precise. In less than a minute, all drones in their zone were destroyed. But Mira had not thrown a single punch. One of the cadets finally understood. She's reading the battlefield. Another gulped. She's predicting everything before it happens. A third whispered in fear. That's not weakness. That's skill. Above, Verax's 4 eyes widened as he leaned closer to the screen. This human girl, this weak cadet, was outperforming every species in the dome. He whispered only 2 words. Impossible. The deeper Mira moved into the battlefield, the more the entire academy began to feel uneasy. Every corner of the dome had surveillance screens, and every screen showed the same shocking thing. A small human girl moving with perfect rhythm, untouched, unafraid, unstoppable. The instructors watching from the control room spoke in low, tense voices. She should not be able to do that. No human cadet has ever passed the first stage. She is not strong, so how? Only Commander Varek stayed silent, his glowing eyes fixed on Mira as if trying to decode a puzzle with missing pieces. Down in the battlefield, Mira reached one of the mid-level zones, a place where only strong cadets usually survived. The walls here were covered in spikes. Laser grids flickered on and off. Sharp wind-slicing blades rotated from the ceiling like huge spinning fans. 12 drones dropped into the zone at the same time. The alien cadets around Mira froze. 12? That's too many. We can't fight all of those. Retreat! But Mira didn't retreat. She stepped forward. The drones locked onto her instantly. Target human. Rank low. Threat level minimal. Action terminate. They all shot forward at once, attacking from different angles. Speed, precision, perfect coordination. Any normal cadet would have been crushed in seconds. But Mira wasn't normal. She closed her eyes for a single moment, just one breath. It was as if the world slowed down for her. And when she opened her eyes, she moved, not with fear, not with panic, but with razor-sharp clarity. Swish. She ducked under the first drone. Clank. She twisted sideways, letting the second drone crash into the first. Crash! She stepped on a rising platform at the exact second it launched upward, sending her above the spinning blades. Cadets watching from a distance gasped loudly. How did she know the platform would rise at that moment? No one could have predicted that. That's not chance. Mira landed lightly on her feet. Then she raised a single hand. A drone shot toward her with full speed. She didn't punch it. She didn't kick. She simply touched the drone's side panel, right at the weak point, and pushed. Spark. Boom. The drone exploded in midair. The watchers went silent. One brave alien cadet nearby stepped closer, voice shaking. Human, how did you know where the weak point was? Mira looked at him for a brief moment before answering softly. I studied the model on the Academy's public database last night. The cadet blinked. You memorized the entire drone design in one night? But before Mira could reply, 3 more drones rushed at them. The alien cadet panicked, raising his weapon wildly. Mira grabbed his arm gently and guided it. Not that angle, she said quietly. Here. She shifted his arm by only 2 inches. Smash! His weapon hit the drone directly in its core, destroying it instantly. The cadet's eyes widened. That never works for me. How did... But Mira had already turned away. She wasn't here to teach. She wasn't here to impress anyone. She had only one focus, reaching the heart of the battlefield. A high-pitched alarm rang across the dome. Warning. Elite simulation mode activated. The alien cadets around her panicked. So stop the test. We're still in beginner mode. Why is elite mode on? Elite mode was only activated when someone reached a score beyond the expected limit. Usually only the strongest species triggered it. Never a human. Never a civilian. Never a weak cadet. The battlefield floor opened beneath Mira. New platforms rose. The lights turned red. And elite-class drones twice the size, triple the speed emerged, glowing with dangerous blue energy. One instructor yelled from the control room, Stop her, she can't fight elite drones. Varex did not answer. His eyes stayed locked on Mira. As the elite drones circled overhead, Mira looked up. And finally, her calm expression shifted. Not fear, not worry, but something the Academy had never seen from a human. Confidence. She stepped into the center of the arena. The elite drones launched themselves at her like lightning. Mira moved with explosive speed, faster than before. Her feet barely touched the ground. She slid under lasers, rolled between drone beams, leaped across collapsing platforms. Her hands moved in small, precise motions, tapping weak points, redirecting attacks, turning the battlefield itself into her weapon. The control room fell silent. Every instructor stared with their mouths open. Varax whispered something no one ever expected to hear. That was not ordinary human training. That is military-grade reflex conditioning. That is prediction speed near elite levels. He leaned closer, eyes narrowing dangerously. Who trained her? Down in the arena, the last elite drone charged at Mira. She spun, placed her palm gently on its core. Boom! It exploded into shards of metal. The battle zone became quiet. Alien cadets stared at her not with mockery, not with laughter, but with fear. For the first time in Academy history, a human had done the impossible. And Mira finally spoke, her voice calm but carrying across the battlefield. Weak? No, humans just fight differently. The arena was silent, too silent. Not a drone buzzed. Not a trap moved. Not a single cadet dared to breathe. Smoke drifted from the shattered remains of the elite drones. Metal fragments sparkled on the ground like pieces of a broken star. In the center of it all stood Mira, small, calm, breathing lightly, as if she had just taken a short walk, not fought the deadliest machines in the academy. For the first time, the cadets saw her clearly, not as a fragile human, not as a mistake, but as something else, something dangerous. A winged cadet whispered, voice trembling. She defeated elite drones alone. A reptilian cadet swallowed hard. That shouldn't be possible. Even top warriors need teams for that. Another stepped back, fear in her voice. Is she some kind of secret human weapon? Their words spread like wildfire through the dome. Whispers turned to murmurs. Murmurs turned into fear. Mira didn't react to any of it. She simply straightened her gloves, wiping a small burn mark off the fabric. But the test wasn't over. The dome's AI system flickered. Lights cracked. Screens glitched. Then a robotic voice boomed. Alert, score limit exceeded. System reconfiguring. The cadets froze again. Score limit exceeded? No one exceeds the limit. Not even the top species. Yet Mira had done it. Verax, standing in the control room, clenched all four of his fists. He stared at Mira with a mixture of suspicion, respect, and growing unease. This human, he muttered, is reshaping the Academy's metrics. Beside him, instructors shook their heads in disbelief. Her reflexes are unnatural. Her prediction speed is advanced military level. No human cadet has ever moved like that. Verax said slowly. She is not enhanced. I checked the scans when she arrived. He paused. So if she is not using implants, then this is pure skill. Down in the dome, mechanical platforms began to shift again. This time the ground rose high, higher than any previous test zone. A giant arena formed, surrounded by sharp metal pillars and glowing barriers. The AI voice announced, Final stage unlocked, Titan simulation. A wave of panic hit the cadets. No, this is too early. Titan stage is for high-ranking students only. We'll die. The ground shook. Something huge descended from the ceiling. A towering robot, 20 meters tall, armored in dark alloy with burning red eyes and cannons on its shoulders. Every cadet stepped back. Only Mira stepped forward. The Titan scanned the battlefield. Threat level. Heavy species, medium. Winged species, low. Reptilian species, medium. Human, unknown. The last line flickered several times, unable to calculate. Cadets watched as the Titan aimed its cannon at the group. No, it's charging an AoE blast. Scatter, scatter. Cadets ran in all directions, diving behind debris, avoiding the blast zone. A bright energy orb formed in the Titan's chest. Sparks crackled in the air. But Mira didn't run. She stared at the Titan with steady eyes, analyzing every joint, movement, and vent. Verax noticed instantly. What is she doing? That cannon can destroy an entire squad. The Titan fired. A massive beam roared outward, tearing across the arena. Cadets screamed, and Mira vanished. The beam passed through empty air. Gasps echoed across the dome. She dodged that? No one is that fast. She shouldn't even see that attack coming. But Verax understood, his voice low and stunned. She didn't dodge the beam. She moved before the Titan fired. Down below, Mira reappeared behind a rising platform. She sprinted forward with explosive speed, using falling debris as stepping stones, never slowing down. The Titan rotated instantly. Another blast charged. Mira jumped, rolling mid-air, landing on a narrow ledge just centimeters away from plasma beams. Each movement was precise, almost mathematical. Cadets watched in awe. She wasn't stronger than the Titan. She wasn't bigger or armored. She was simply better. She reached the Titan's leg, placed one hand on a joint seam, pressed lightly. Clank. A small panel popped open. She had found the weak point again. Then she jumped upward, using the Titan's moving plates as climbing steps, dodging bullets and sparks. Verax whispered. No human cadet should know Titan weak points unless she learned the entire machine schematics by heart. He turned to the instructors. Tell me, did anyone give her restricted access? They shook their heads. No, Commander, she only used basic student files. Verax stared again at the screen, shocked. She memorized everything from basic files, even Titan weak spots, in one night. Meanwhile, Mira reached the Titan's chest. She pressed 2 fingers against a glowing circuit. Boom! The Titan collapsed, shaking the dome. Dust exploded outward. When the smoke settled, Mira stood on top of the fallen Titan, her hair slightly messy, her clothes covered in dust, but her eyes still calm. Cadets looked up in silence. Nobody laughed now. Nobody mocked. Nobody doubted. The academy itself felt shaken, because the girl they called weak had just defeated something only elites survived, and for the first time in its long history, the academy feared a human. The Predator Commander's throne room had been built to intimidate. Every wall was carved with victories. Every torch burned blue like cold fire, and every warrior who entered felt the atmosphere grow heavier, as if the room itself judged their worth. But today, every pair of alien eyes was locked on one person. A 19-year-old human girl from Earth who should have never stepped into this academy in the first place. Lyra stood in the center, armor cracked, knuckles bleeding, uniform torn, and shoulders trembling from exhaustion. Yet her stance never wavered. She looked like she had already survived a war, and somehow she had. Across from her stood Zorath, the academy's undefeated legend, a veteran warrior who had broken bones, shattered egos, and ended hundreds of training careers. No cadet had ever pushed him back. Until Lyra. He stared at her now with something no Predator elite had ever felt toward a human. Respect mixed with fear. The commander leaned forward on his throne, his sharp talons clicking against the stone armrest. He didn't speak. He didn't have to. Everyone knew this was the final judgment. The exam was not just about combat anymore. It had become a test of spirit, of soul, of something far deeper than mere strength. And Lyra stood at the heart of it. The room holds its breath. Lyra inhaled sharply. Her ribs hurt. Her shoulders stung. Her vision blurred at the edges. She knew she had nothing left to give. But she also knew one truth. Stopping now would make everything meaningless. All the humiliation. All the mocking. All the whispers. Humans are weak. She'll wash out. She doesn't belong here. Not after everything she had endured. Her voice cracked but carried through the hall. You want the truth about humans? Her gaze swept across the crowd. Predator elites, training officers, cadets, and even the High Council visitors perched like stone guardians. We don't fight because we're the strongest. She tightened her fists. We fight because we refuse to break. A low murmur spread through the hall. Even Zorath's eyes widened slightly. The unpredictable twist. The commander rose slowly, his cloak dragging across the stone floor like a storm cloud. He approached Lyra, towering over her like a living mountain. Every instinct in her body screamed to step back. But she didn't. Instead, she stared him dead in the eyes. A risky move. A stupid move. Or a brave one. She wasn't sure anymore. The commander lifted one massive clawed hand. Everyone tensed. Even Lyra's heart stuttered. Was this it? Was he going to dismiss her? Strike her? End the exam with humiliation? The commander's hand came down and rested gently on her shoulder. The hall gasped. Nobody touched a cadet, not before final judgment. His voice rumbled like thunder. You have something my warriors have forgotten. Lyra swallowed. What do you mean? The commander turned, addressing every soul in the throne room. Strength is not only muscle or claws or the power to kill. He gestured to Lyra. It is the power to endure, to rise, to defy fate. Then he pointed at Zorath. Warrior, step forward. Zorath obeyed, stepping close enough for Lyra to feel the heat radiating off his armor. The commander lifted his arm high. In the name of the Predator High Council, in the name of the First Hunt, in the name of every warrior who has bled for this academy, I deliver verdict. Silence crushed the room. The verdict that shocked an empire. The commander's voice shook the walls. Cadet Lyra of Earth, you have passed the combat examination. Gasps erupted. But he wasn't done. Not only that, you have achieved a rank no human has ever reached. Lyra blinked. You mean I passed with honors? The commander shook his head. No, you surpassed honors. He stepped back and delivered the final blow to every ego in the room. You are now the top cadet in the Predator Academy. The hall froze. Zorath lowered his head, a gesture of respect. The elites exchanged looks of disbelief. The council members scribbled notes in frantic silence. And Lyra felt tears sting her eyes for the first time since arriving on this brutal, unforgiving world. She didn't cry from pain. She didn't cry from fear. She cried from something much deeper. She finally belonged. The legacy begins. The commander turned toward the audience and roared. Let it be recorded. The galaxy has witnessed the rise of a true Deathworlder. He looked at Lyra once more. You were weak when you arrived. But now you redefine what strength is. The entire hall erupted into thunderous war cries. For her. And among the noise, Lyra whispered to herself, I did it, I really did it. But she didn't know something. Passing was only the beginning. The real war was coming, and Lyra was about to become its symbol,